Hello and welcome along to the On the Whistle podcast. I'm your host, Zayn Nabbi, and today we have an extra special show. We have Nathan Campbell, the head of global recruitment for football at Roc Nation, joining us about one of the most incredible initiatives to hit the continent. That's right, Roc Nation are full blast hitting the continent. Nathan, firstly, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you on here. How are you doing? Let's start there.
All good, thanks, Zane. Great to meet you, and thanks for having me on.
Nathan, there's obviously a big announcement, and it's about Roc Nation's push into Africa. Let me ask this question first for those out there in our African audience who might not be familiar with Roc Nation. What is it exactly that Roc Nation does?
So, Roc Nation Sports International is an international agency, obviously birthed out of the US 10 years ago, came over to Europe in 2020, and then since then we've expanded globally. So we represent players in Brazil, the US, in Europe, and now in Africa, which is super exciting.
One of the teams in Roc Nation's stable is Mamelodi Sundowns. They won hearts and minds at the recent FIFA Club World Cup, Bafana style. I mean, how has it been working with Sundowns, and did they maybe serve as a gateway to get into the continent and do a little bit more work there?
Yeah, so the relationship with Sundowns has been fantastic. Obviously, as you saw at the Club World Cup, fantastic performances. I think they really showed the world the ability that they got and how high the level is in Africa and the PSL, which was a great credit only to themselves but to the league and the continent. So it was super exciting. Um, the relationship has helped because it's what initially brought me to South Africa in 2020. Um, it was an idea of learning the South African football landscape, which I came down, saw the Sundowns, saw the youth set up, saw the first team set up. I also met with Cape Town City Chiefs, and I went around and really observed how the academies work, the level of player, and it was really interesting. What I found during that trip was that the technical level is really high of these players, especially the young players, which fits our recruiting strategy at Roc Nation. Um, and if we could work on some of the physical aspects, then there would be a great opportunity in regards to recruiting. And then we had the excitement of obviously taking the Sundowns to the KDB Cup in 2023, which was a fantastic experience. And I think that really showed again the youth level. The gap isn't massive, but it showed what is needed for these young players to be able to transition to Europe. So that kind of birthed the idea. From that, me and the team went across different parts of West Africa, and really the Champions League final in London is what really ignited it. And from there, we've been driving it to today, where we're excited to announce RNSI Africa.
Before we get to that initiative, I just have one more question.
Of course.
Who are the biggest names currently in the Roc Nation stable?
So we represent the likes of Vinicius Junior, Endrick, Martinelli, Lucas Paqueta, Kevin De Bruyne, Federico Di Marco, who obviously played in the Champions League final. And then we got an exciting, what we call emergent talent, the likes of Kevin Paredes, Chris Richards, who won the FA Cup and plays for the US men's national team. Young player called Jacob Wright, who recently left Man City and gone to Norwich City. Brooke Norton Cuffy, who won the Euros for England. Mark Bernal, Malik Fofana, who we recently signed, the Belgium international. So, and then we got an exciting host of young players, with which obviously includes Emil Whitboy.
That's an incredibly impressive stable of talent,
Yeah.
established and emerging across Europe and South America. We've teased it out long enough. Talk to us about this expansion plan into Africa and how it will work.
Of course, of course. So the launch of Roc Nation Sports International Africa is today. And what it will see is us really focus on key countries across the continent. Over the last 18 months, we've done a lot of research, a lot of meetings, a lot of, again, learning the footballing landscape. So we will have a presence in Ghana, Nigeria, Zambia, Ivory Coast, Mali, Zimbabwe, South Africa, um, which will really help us develop the next future stars of Roc Nation Sports International.
You're working with local partners, Nathan, to fulfill this. How does that relationship work with Roc Nation?
So amongst our travels and our research, through our meetings, we met with key people in each of the areas. For instance, I went down to Ghana in February. My colleagues went down there in November, and then I went in February. And across 3 days, we had 23 meetings. So it's been a real intense process. But through that, you obviously meet people who you're good, who align with you, have the same ideas, have the same strategies, and buy into our strategy. And they see the strength that we can bring to their relationship. But again, what I've learned within the continent is it's really important to have local people and people on the ground, so that we can provide a high level service, but also so we can understand the culture of that country, because each country across the continent has a different culture, a different way of working, and it's important that you have someone from that community who's involved in the project. So that's really been the process. The way the partnerships will work is some partnerships are with clubs, some are with individuals, and then some are with partner agencies. So, for instance, in Zambia, we've partnered. The Gambia, we've partnered with an agency called Ebenezer Sports. They have a really exciting player called Francis Gomez, who we think has a real high level. Um, Looking forward to him transitioning to Europe at 18. Those wheels are already in motion. And then when you look at his physical attributes and his technical attributes, we then think we can take him to a top five league. Ebenezer Sports, their leader is Sheriff, great guy, knows the local knowledge, and together we believe we can maximize Francis's potential. So generally, that's how the relationships will work across um, the the expansion. But the idea is obviously to both benefit both parties.
Obviously, when people come into Africa, they're looking for young talent. They can move to Europe primarily. It's seen as a market where you can get a lot of value for money.
Yeah,
I mean, I look at some of the superstars that have the emerging superstars at the moment. You look at someone like Lamine Yamal.
of
You
course.
know, there's African heritage there,
Yeah.
even though he's Spanish. You look at someone like Kylian Mbappe. There's African heritage there, and there's a myriad of players like that. So, do you believe coming into Africa offers you that opportunity to maybe scout someone at a really young age that could go for a big transfer fee to Europe? Would that be the goal of this initiative?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Now, the initial transfer might not be the big one. Let's say it may be the second one. So what we're really looking at doing is obviously identifying the talent, providing them with opportunities to then go to what we call trampoline leagues. So leagues like countries within Scandinavia where they can really transition, develop, adapt to Europe, and then go on to that second bigger transfer. But there are players of ability who can come straight into England, and again, that's been an opportunity that we're looking to explore, because although Brexit wasn't a fantastic initiative, one of the things that it has allowed some English teams to do is bring talent straight from places like Africa with their wildcard spots and bring them straight into England, which obviously makes this really exciting. So I guess
Mhm.
in regards to us transferring players to Europe, there'll be three different strategies. One, to trampoline leagues where they can adapt, develop, build value, and then go again. One for the elite ones that can come straight to England, or one of the top five leagues, and then other ones who again may have to go on a bit of a different journey, uh, to another nation like Turkey, etc. Develop
Mhm.
value and then come into Europe. So we kind of see it as a threefold strategy. But I think one of the biggest things, and the reasons why we are really doing this is across the continent we've often seen that. agencies are essentially just exporting players, and
Mm.
that's not what we want to do. We want to be more than that. And I think you've seen it within South Africa, the way we've not only managed athletes, but how we've supported communities, and we want to do that the same across continents. We're not just here to export players; we're here to work locally, improve those communities, develop players as people, and make them better people. And then, obviously, the third goal is to bring some of these players into Europe. Obviously,
That's a great explanation. It's quite a holistic approach.
yeah,
And I obviously asked a question about Europe, but I'm wondering if we look at some of these leagues, maybe not in Europe, like whether it's the Saudi Pro League, whether it's MLS football, um, would there be opportunities and placements there, or is the focus let's take a talented player and get him to Europe? Because that's, I think we'll all acknowledge, where the sort of the heartbeats for club
yeah.
football. Oh, it's the heartbeat of club football, and it's the pinnacle of the game.
No, definitely. Listen, I think for the majority, the focus is Europe. But like you touch on, the focus is really providing opportunities and giving
Mm.
these players a platform where they can not only improve their lives but their families' lives and achieve their goals. And whether that be to the US where we have contacts, whether it even be to South America, because a lot of these players have different profiles to what is in those countries. And obviously that's what makes Africa so exciting is the profiles, the DNA, what you can develop. A lot of clubs think once they get them over, they don't have that naturally within European or Western countries. So if they can then add the technical and tactical aspect, then they have a well-rounded player. And that's really the core of our scouting is we look at the physical profiles, we look at what leagues those profiles can adjust to, and then from there, that's where we then look at the opportunities that be provided. Because let's say for England to come straight from Africa to England,
Mhm.
you have to have at least a very good physical profile, and then the technical and tactical comes after. Whereas if you're bringing a player to Scandinavia or the US or even Saudi, like you touched on, that technical aspect will probably be the primary, and then the physical aspect the secondary. So we're always looking at different profiles and types for the leagues that we want to bring these players to.
Do you think the next Lionel Messi, the next Cristiano Ronaldo, the next Lamine Yamal will come from Africa?
I honestly do. I think, like I said, the thing that has often not held back, but maybe lessen the opportunities of these players is really the coaching level and the environment that's provided. And you see that when you travel the continent, that's the big gap between here and Europe. And when one of the biggest things I'm actually out in Sweden at the moment, and as part of that trip, I'm visiting the Gothia Cup, which has a number of African teams. Probably the most notorious one, Right to Dream. And the biggest thing that you can see between the Right to Dream team and some of the other African teams isn't that they have better players, but they're better coached. And as I travel the continent, I'm realizing that the European influence of coaching is now coming over to the continent. So these players are receiving a higher level of coaching, which is meaning that the gap isn't as big as it used to be. So in short, I definitely think within the next 10 years, you will have what you call probably a top three Ballon d'Or player coming from the African continent.
It's been a while since we've had George Weah there. Uh, Nathan, I want to just give you a chance to talk about some of the young talent
Of
that you've
course.
announced. And somebody that caught my attention, given my lens on Sundowns, is Siyabonga Mabena.
Yeah,
He's obviously a rising star, top notch talent. Talk to us about some of the players that you've gone and you've signed and
of
you'll
course.
be looking to work with and give that springboard to fulfill their dreams.
Of course. So obviously I'll start in South Africa. Obviously we signed Neo, who's an exciting young striker from Kaiser Chiefs, as you'll be aware. Super excited for him. We believe he's a natural goal scorer and has the abilities to again go on to a high level. And then C is a real interesting one. I've been trying to sign Sia probably. I said it when I had the first call with his father, about 18 months to 2 years. When I first saw the video of Sia
So
playing.
you played the long game.
I did. And to be fair, that's where a whole team comes in.
Sure.
Where we've all supported and been able to secure him. But I know he's been unlucky with injury, but I truly believe he's a real exciting player. I think amongst that we probably got the 2/3 of the most exciting players in the country with Emil, CR, and Neo, which we're super excited about. And then if you go to the Gambia, as I mentioned earlier, we signed a young player called Francis Gomez. Now there's two. So not to get confused, one's already in Europe at Everton. That's not the one we've signed. The one we signed is still in the Gambia, but um, he will be coming to Europe. Will's already in motion. He's a fantastic attacking player, great profile, and we're super excited about partnering with Ebony Sports with him. In Ghana, we've signed a midfielder called Ali Umar, which was during my visit in February. Again, a great physical profile, but has the ability to play in midfield, more of a number six or number eight. And then we've signed a real exciting young prospect who, again, we've scouted through the WAFA process called Joseph Nabbi. Um, I believe he's a player with the technical ability to come straight to a top five league. Again, the wheels are in motion to bring him to Europe already. So we're super excited about that. And then when you go to across to Nigeria, we've signed probably one of the best young talents there, Ife. Again, he's actually in Sweden at the moment. I visited him during this trip. He's at trial and being assessed at IFK Gothenburg. Again, will come to Europe at 18. Super exciting talent midfielder. So clever, so intelligent. Has a real football IQ. And then when you match that with his abilities on the ball, it's super exciting. And then a bit probably out of the norm. We signed a young man from who's originally from Burkina, but he's out in UAE, called Mamadou. Great athletic profile, winger, can play off either side. Super direct, super powerful. He'll be 18 in January. He's due to travel to not Europe, but a country close to Europe in the next month for assessment. He was due to come to England. We had a few visa problems, so we've looked at a club, and that's another thing to touch on. A lot of English clubs are building groups, like the City Group. A lot of clubs are replicating that, so we're taking him to a group club just outside the EU, and we're super excited about that.
If I can come in really quickly here, Nathan, what is the benefit of a group club? Is it as simple as you get the trampoline to then launch to the big leagues?
So it essentially is twofold thing. One, I think originally clubs built it as an opportunity to use a internal system to manage and develop talent. Now,
Hmm.
has that always worked? Probably not. Only because obviously, if you take a group of players and you say to a manager, "You must play," there's going to be some,
Mm.
right? So I think what group clubs have really developed into is opportunities of recruiting players from different places, harvesting that talent, either building value in them and selling them on and keeping the money in,
Mm.
or passing them within the group. So if you take an example of an elite one that's worked within a group, it's Savinho. Obviously, went
Mm.
to Girona, played to a super high level, played Champions League, then we had the ability to go to Man City and obviously break through there. But a lot of clubs, they take players, let's say Southampton, they've got a group of clubs, one in Turkey, one in England, obviously Southampton, and one in France. And really, I guess the Turkish club can take players from places like Africa or South America, much more relaxed visas,
Mm.
restraints, develop the talent. If they're of a super high level, bring them to Southampton. But if not, they can still build their value and sell them for millions, and then the money stays within the group. So often that's how a lot of European clubs are working anyway. even within their academies. They kind of have three buckets. One, and the first one is very small, players who can actually play for that club's first team, which is a small number of players. Middle one is players who we can build value, send on loan, give them appearances for the first team, have them on the bench,
Mm,
value, and then sell for millions, which Man City and Chelsea are renowned for, and probably the driving force within England. And then you have the third set of players who are, not in a disrespectful way, essentially there to make up the numbers.
sure. Um, Nathan, I think you've given us a fantastic overview of this new initiative
Yeah.
that seems super exciting, this push into Africa, with all your expertise that you guys have and networks around the world. Um, what is the ultimate goal for Roc Nation, and what is your measurement of success?
I think that's a great question, Zay. I think on the face of it, a lot of people would think, oh, the success is just transferring players. But like I said, I think that's a byproduct. I think when
Hmm.
you look at what we do as an organization and an agency, that the transfer is a byproduct of what we think success is, which is essentially creating opportunities, developing good people, and as the president likes to say, making dreams come a reality. And I think whether that be to play in Europe, whether that be to develop as a person, that's the real core of success. When a lot of people ask me what are your best moments, I came into this side of the business because I love the game.
And,
Uh,
and you're a former player, Nathan. You played
Exactly.
professionally.
Exactly. So professionally, semi-professionally, I've been on the journey, and I think, listen, obviously the transfer and stuff that that's an amazing moment for the player and family, which is reward for their hard work. But the moment
Hmm.
I love is for instance when a young player makes their debut, a young player wins a trophy, a young player achieves an amazing milestone, when you see that reaction and what that brings to not only that player but the family and how many people you can touch within a family, that's an amazing moment. So I guess success for me and for the company is really helping as many people as we can, to achieve their goals and their dreams.
I got to ask Nathan, as part of the signing on for Rock Nation, it, are the players invited to like the Rockefeller or somewhere? He comes out and he starts like performing a secret set for them, with like, and I know Rihanna's coming out and all these superstars. Is that how you get him in? Is that how you
No,
know?
I wish. I would reverse the years and become a player myself if that was possible. Uh, but no, I think it's interesting. A lot of people do ask how invested
Yeah,
is Jay and how involved he is, and he's always aware of the business. I think you probably saw a couple of weeks ago he was at the Club World Cup to support Vinny. A couple of weeks before that, he come and visited us in the London office, and as part of that presentation of where we are as a football business, we explained Africa to him, the opportunity, the purpose, and he came up with some really good ideas. So he's always aware. He's always being kept up to date, and he's always wanting to obviously keep it to the core principles of what Roc Nation is, and that's not to be the biggest, and that's a key part of this Africa expansion. We won't be just traveling the continent, signing hundreds of players. That's not the Roc Nation DNA. That's not our style. That's not our philosophy. Our philosophy is to do a lot of scouting, sign the players that we perceive to be the best, and really create a team around them to maximize that potential. So through this, although we're starting off with quite a number of players, nine, which may seem a lot. This has been, as I've explained with Sia earlier, this has been a 18-month to 2 year process. So it may initially seem a lot, but in the grand scheme, when you split it across 2 years, it's 4 and 5 players, so it's not a lot, and we will keep to that. We won't change our philosophy, whether that be in Africa, South America, US, Europe. we will keep true to our DNA and
It's quality, right? And the
exactly,
focus of the person.
exactly, because if not, then we will just become an export agency, and that's not
Yes.
what we want to be. The reason why we've come to the continent is to do things differently and do it what we think is the right way.
And Jay is all in. I want to say betting the house, but he's all in on this African expansion, right? He sees the vision.
Definitely. Jay won. So one was over for the Champions League final as well last year. Won Paris. He's one of our co-owners. Michael, the president. Everyone's really brought into it because they see not only the short term opportunity but the long term vision, which is super exciting for us as an agency.
Nathan, thank you for being so generous with your time. For those of you listening out there to the On the Whistle podcast, please hit us up on our social accounts on X. You can find us at OTW_podcast. It's the same on TikTok, and it's the same on Instagram. You can also search for the On the Whistle podcast on Facebook and YouTube. Leave a comment, leave a review, let us know what you think. Our questions today are: will the next Lionel Messi or Lamine Yamal come from Africa? And will they be in the Roc Nation stable? And also, if you have any good ideas on up and coming young talent that could make it big, let us know so we can tell Nathan, and then we'll bet the house on him or her.
Definitely.
All the best, Nathan.
Thank you, Zayn. Thanks for having me.